Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video, and today I'm finally getting around to doing my actual review video for the T-64B. I said that I was planning on doing this at some stage. I do the first impression videos first and then I do the actual proper review videos where I look at the researchable shells, the armour, how the tank actually plays and so on and so forth. So let's continue. Let's start by looking at the stat card. 125mm 2A46M-1 cannon. The only difference this thing has over the T-64A is that it can fire Cobra anti-tank guided missiles as well. A 12.7mm NSVT machine gun, 50 caliber heavy machine gun mounted on the cupola, and the standard 7.62 PKT machine gun mounted in the coax. A turret rotation speed of 19.8 degrees per second. This is faster than the turret rotation speed on the T-64A. Vertical guidance is the same, -6 degrees of gun depression, 16 degrees of elevation. Reload rate is the same at 7.1 seconds. Armour we'll get into in a minute. This tank weighs 39 tons with a 619 horsepower engine in comparison to the T-64A's 38 tons and 700 horsepower engine. It is of course notable that my T-64A is fully upgraded, so bear that in mind. 40 degrees maximum inclination, maximum repair cost at the moment of 6,727 lions. Of course that's basically with a stock tank. So let's take a look at the modifications. Standard round, the 3B M15 shell, 430mm of penetration at 100 meters, 400 at 2000 on a basically flat angle. 60 degree angle, 169 at 100, at 165 at 100, 153 at 2000. Our second Sabo shell, 470 at 100, 430 at 2000, and then going down to 180 at 100 and 165 at 2000. Then we have our heat shell, 550mm of pen on flat angle all ranges, 274mm of pen on a 60 degree angle at all ranges. Couple of heat rounds, a couple of HE rounds I should say, which I'm not really that interested in. I have heard that these can actually do a lot of damage to tanks by firing at its optics, but that's not really something I'm willing to try. And last but not least, our Cobra anti-tank guided missile, the 9M112, 650mm of penetration. This is the same, by the way, as the Leopard 2K standard heat round, just so you know. 650mm of penetration from 100 up to 2000 on a flat angle, 324mm of penetration at a 60 degree angle out to 2000 meters. This is a decent ATGM. I haven't seen very many people firing them at me. I haven't actually been killed by one yet, ever, since the patch dropped, but I don't particularly want to jinx myself, so let's go on looking at the armour, shall we? So, similar layout to that on the T-64A, we have rolled homogeneous armour, 60mm thick on the outside of the tank, with gaps here, 4mm thick there, structural steel, lower plate, 20mm thick there, and then on the gap between the upper plate and the lower plate, well, lower plate itself is 8mm thick, but this bit at the bottom is an extra 20mm thick. Front of the turret is set up into different spaces, so 330mm there, 130, 140, 140. Of course, as you know, going further out like this increases the angle, which increases the ricochet chance. On the sides, are these actually, yes they are, rubber fabric screens. These are supposed to defend against heat rounds. As far as I know, they are actually reasonably effective. These are actually supposed to move, by the way, Gaijin, just so you know, when you're driving along, but that's a minor complaint. Boxes on the side, 4mm of aluminium. Let's do it this way, it's easier. Side of the hull, 20mm thick. Side of the turret we've just looked at, 105 there, 90, 30, oh god. 30 there. Armor radiation material. What the hell is that? Ah yes, this has been added. They did a micro patch either today or yesterday, and they've added this strange looking radiation material, whatever that is. If you know what this is, let me know in the comments, because I have absolutely no idea. I think it's also on the top of the hull as well. Yeah, there. I have absolutely no idea what this is. So if you know, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to find out what that actually is. So top of the tank, obviously you've got this 30mm of steel, 140 on the top of the turret, which is cast steel. On the top of the engine deck is 20mm. This is kind of weak to cannon fire, especially armor piercing cannon fire. Rear of the hull, 45 there, 20 there, 20 there. As always, it's worth mentioning that the rear and sides of a tank are always going to be the weakest at this tier. 100mm of wood there. I don't think I've ever had a shell hit that and not penetrate, but heat or hash or an ATGM may hit that and may just blow it off, but we'll see. So let's actually get into the interesting part of this armor, which is the composite. So this is made up of rolled homogeneous armor, textilite, and well, that's it really. Homogeneous armor and textilite, which is basically a sandwich of fabrics and fibers and stuff. Very similar to that in the T-64A. Well, actually it's exactly the same, you just have more of it. The frontal plate can bounce anything under 440mm at which is kinetic, so Sabo, 500mm of heat. So a Leopard 2K will punch straight through the front of this armor, bear that in mind. You have none on the lower frontal plate, no composite armor whatsoever. Front of the turret is actually not as well armored as far as composite is concerned as the well, no, it's armored more, and then you've got more steel on the outside, so completely ignore me. This is actually better than the T-64A, and rightfully so. Cast homogeneous armor here, no spaced, okay, there. So we're looking at 150 to 300mm thick, as we said. But then the composite is on the side, so you've still got a weak spot either side of the gun. So you can cannon breach this thing by firing either side of the gun manlet. 440mm thick for kinetic, 500 for chemical, protection in the sector of angles, blah 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 blah. Yeah, this basically, long and short of it is, this is better armor than the T-64A, which is exactly what we'd expect. Layout is exactly the same. Carousel underneath the gun for the auto-loading system. Driver sat in the front with fuel tanks either side of him. Engine and transmission in the rear. Radiator on the top. That's part of the engine, actually. Fuel tanks just between the crew compartment and the engine compartment. So yeah, that's about it. Let's jump into a game. It wasn't a fantastic game, just so you know. It was decent, but I think it stands to show how good this thing actually is mobility wise. So let's jump right on into that. So for today's gameplay section, we are on the Middle East map, or at least I think that's what it's called. Hey, don't blame me, I can't remember all the goddamn names of the maps in this game. And obviously we're taking out the T-64B. Now I am going down the middle section of the map. Generally speaking, on this map I try to flank from the inside. The Abrams tanks, which are being completely spammed out, hence why I haven't managed to actually get this video up before now, because I couldn't get a game. I sat in a queue in my, it's not just the T-64B, the Challenger and the Leo 2K all have the same issue. Because everybody wants to play the Abrams, which at the moment is most definitely king of the meta, spoiler alert, but it just is. It's fast, it's mobile, it's got a decent enough gun that works with what it's fighting against, and chief among which, it has armor that actually works. Speaking of, it may have armor that actually works, but the armor only tends to work best from the front. There's another tank over there behind that rock, but I'm not too concerned about them. Spraying with machine gun fire so they can't see me, back up, they spray smoke. They can't see me anyway, so I can take the opportunity to turn myself around. Because backing up is not the best option in this tank. The reverse speed is ridiculously slow at around 4 km per hour. Although any of you who've played the British at lower tiers and the T-64A will be all too familiar with this. It's always best to rotate the hull around and drive away forwards than it is to reverse out of any situation. Which is why, thankfully, this thing it's mobile. As I said in the hangar, my T-64B is not very much upgraded. I have repair kit and just unlocked the fire extinguisher. I unlocked it after this game, in fact. But even so, my T-64A is nowhere near as mobile as this thing is. So my T-64A rotates on the spot faster, the neutral steering is faster, but the actual straight line speed is not as good as the T-64B. However, the fact that this thing is not that mobile actually works in your favour due to the reverse speed. The last thing you want is to get yourself into a difficult situation that you cannot get yourself out of quickly. Second Abrams tank, one shot, there's the downside of Sabo, it just hit the engine and did jack all else. Second shot, just below the crew compartment. Yeah, that worked nicely. Now, that guy had every opportunity to rotate his turret and just blast me in the side then. I come around the corner sideways on, which was a mistake on my part. The side armour of all of these top tier tanks is where they fall down the most. If you're encountering any top tier tank at close range, and you have Sabo, or even long range for that matter, and you have fin stabilised discarding Sabo, try and shoot for the sides of the tank, the sides of the hull particularly. You'll find that even if they're only angled slightly, chances are the round will pen straight through the whole length of the tank. Even if it doesn't destroy the tank in one shot, it will definitely set the tank on fire, destroy modules, kill crew members, etc. Which is exactly what we want. Now, I am being incredibly aggressive in this match at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, we've got all the winning cards, although I'm fortunately not paying very much attention. Third Abrams, first shot through the side of the turret. All it does is destroy his cannon breech. I should have aimed it further forward backwards. Well, further backwards. There is, however, another tank on the ridgeline behind me that I've failed to not notice. So, we'll keep going forward. Don't let that Abrams get his gun on me. Unfortunately, I don't have the repair kit at this stage, so I can't exactly put the fire out, trying to mark him with my machine guns, but I get taken out by an M60A1 Rise, which in and of itself is basically offensive to the T-64B. But I don't know what I expected. I was driving in front of their spawn, I was being stupid, I was being far too aggressive. But this does show to demonstrate how mobile the T-64B is. It may not be the fastest at the current meta, but it is certainly pretty decent for what it is. Now, what I have failed to take into consideration is the fact that though we may have had the capture point right from the get-go, our team all decided to make the same mistake I did. They were too aggressive. They didn't cap and then sit and wait for the enemy counter-attack. They pushed right into the teeth of the entire enemy team and got completely slaughtered. There are tanks covering our cap, or rather covering our spawn, which I'm about to find out via an ATGM to the face. Can you spot him? I haven't spotted him yet, and I'm about to get hit. There it is. There's an M551 Sheridan sat up on the top of that hill, but don't worry, I'll get the little bastard back for that after this. It was my own mistake. As I said, I pushed forward far too much. You need to play this tank defensively at this tier. Whilst the M1 Abrams, though it may be being up-tiered, if it hasn't been already, to 9.7, which, by the way, I got this information from the European Canadians channel. If you haven't heard of him, go and check out his content. He does really good, he does amazing videos. But he said that the Abrams is being up-tiered, rightfully so. That doesn't help the T-64B, the Challenger, and the Leopard 2K too much, though, because they're still going to end up fighting it anyway. But it does help the poor bastards like those who are in the Leopard A1A1. They will never have to fight the Abrams anymore, because it will be out of their bracket. So they're the lucky ones. We still get to suffer. So bear in mind that should you run into anything like that, shoot it in the side of the hull, assuming that they're angled even slightly. As I said, the shell will penetrate, go all the way through the tank, take out modules, crew members, and set it on fire, etc. And that's if it doesn't outright kill it in one shot. I get my revenge on the Sheridan, but I failed to notice the M1 Abrams sat on the same hill, slightly to the right of him. Curious as to why he didn't fire beforehand, but he was probably waiting to see if the Sheridan would take me out. I do like this tank. I really do. But due to the Abrams spam, and it is being spammed out, it's a great tank, but you need to play it very cautiously. If there's anything you can take from this review, play the thing cautiously, and you should do just fine. Defensive is the game. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like and share this content. It really does help me out, and I'll see you guys in the next War Thunder video. Cheers.